Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Middle School GSA, your favorite TERF podcast. I am your host, Demigloom. My pronouns are she, her. And I'm joined by my good co-host, Felonious Ferris.
Hello, my pronouns are they, them.
Yeah. How are you doing today, Felonious Ferris?
I have a cold. I went to urgent care at 11:30 in the morning to get tested for strep. But I don't have strep throat. Don't know what I have. But I'm all raspy and I'm gonna cough during this recording, probably a lot.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, we can hop right into the comments because there's only one.
Yo!
Somebody named Flaming Feet. Usually people with the word feet in their username are Nazis and pedophiles, so... And this person is also a fan of the YouTuber Monkey Jones. Someone whom I'm also a fan of, but everyone else who is a fan of Monkey Jones is like a far-right conspiracy theorist that hates trans people, so...
Spaghetti-o.
So hopefully they saw this podcast and were like, you're the one good trans person, and I'm gonna change. But yeah. Mm-hmm. No, in all sincerity, Flaming Feet, you're probably a reasonable person. And thank you for listening. The episode got 2 likes, and the view count is my favorite number, which is a very low number for views on a podcast, so...
Wait, what did Flaming Feet say?
Did I not read it?
No, you didn't.
Oh my god, I'm stupid. They said, good luck in school, Demigloom, because I announced that I will be going to college in like 1 week.
This is so nice.
It starts in like 1 week, I think. Yeah, like 6 days. That's crazy. I'm not particularly excited. I don't like college students, but hopefully that changes. Hopefully I find some people I get along with. We have a topic pretty close to home for at least one of us, and I'm pretty excited to have this discussion. You know, I'm excited to platform an educated voice on this topic. We're talking about non-binary people.
Yo.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we hop into that?
For those of you who didn't know, Gaslight is a movie, and that's where the term comes from.
And that nobody is going to understand why it's funny that you just brought that up.
It is a movie. It's a movie that came out in 1944, starring Ingrid Bergman, and I don't remember the other guy, which you just read out to me before we started recording.
I mean, okay, we get it. Like, everyone knows that Gaslight is a movie. I don't understand why you had to bring that up. Like, who doesn't know that? That's my serious question. Is who doesn't know that? Certainly nobody in this call has never heard of that movie until this evening.
Mm-hmm. Well...
Is it a non-binary movie?
Oh, it's so non-binary. It's
true.
Extremely. Because, you know, us non-binary people, like all trans people, are extremely manipulative and like making other people insane to serve our own goals. True.
What the hell is a non-binary person? I've never heard of this term in my life.
Well, Demigloom, I'm so glad you asked. It's when you do not identify as a man or a woman, or a boy or a girl.
What if you identify as a lady or a gentleman?
I think that is I think that's still within the gender binary.
Okay.
I think perhaps.
So someone who exhibits a gender identity outside of the traditional male or female categories, right?
Correct.
Why?
Why?
Why would somebody do such a thing?
Well, once again, I'm so glad you asked. It's because, I feel repulsed when,
Whoa, you're one of those people?
When I'm treated like a woman, I feel repulsed. I feel disgusted. I hate it. And when I go by he, him pronouns, it feels kind of like fun and exciting, but it feels like role play. Like it's a Dungeons and Dragons characters I'm character I'm playing in real life, and that doesn't feel authentic. However, when I use they them pronouns and dress in a manner that isn't either super feminine or super masculine, I feel really comfortable and happy.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a pretty good episode.
Yep.
Why do you think some people find this so hard to believe? And I may or may not be shit talking one particular person in my audience.
Well, I think that they see the typical biological sexes as being just a natural binary. My guess is see, this is complicated. I think that people who believe that see, now I'm confusing myself. I don't know, Demigloom. You'd think it would make plenty of sense.
I think it's common sense, personally. If you're trans accepting, or God forbid, trans yourself, and you don't understand non-binary people, I don't understand you. I mean, if you can acknowledge that you could be extremely comfortable with the prospect of being treated as a male by society, or being treated as a female by society, why can't it be both? Why can't you have similar feelings towards both things? Androgyny is certainly something that has existed for a long time. The pursuit of androgyny is nothing new. And for people to act like gender dysphoria is somehow only exists as something that directs you to the exact opposite of your sex assigned at birth, or into the two mutually exclusive categories, it's ridiculous. And that's not to say you need gender dysphoria to be trans, but I think that's the most common argument against non-binary people, is that they don't experience gender dysphoria the way binary trans people do. But they certainly do. And I think they experience it worse on occasion.
Yeah.
I think it's probably more difficult. I mean, I think they experience it in very different ways. I think it is much more difficult to explain to the world around you who you are, how you want to be addressed, and how people should see you. I think having confidence that people see you as a non-binary person is almost non-existent in our transphobic society. And I think that while binary trans people can feel similarly hopeful for them specifically, I don't think that's an inherent quality of being a binary trans person. Whereas I think being non-binary, it's almost as if there's a certain reality check you have to do that's like, the majority of society will never understand me. Maybe not the majority, but a large part of society. Would you agree with that?
You're right. I suffer so greatly, and everyone should send me money.
True.
You're so right.
I agree. You should send a non-binary person's podcast money.
Yes.
So that non-binary person and their co-host can get nice microphones and cameras.
Yes. You're so right. I think that a lot of people are still caught up with old definitions of gender being correlated to sex. And they've gotten the part where sex isn't necessarily correlated, but they haven't gotten to the part where gender identity can be a diverse thing. It doesn't have too strict definitions.
Too strict categories, too strict definitions, too strict anything. The number 2 is a number we're no longer restricted to.
Yes. And there are more non-binary people who have different reasons for being non-binary than I do. Some of them are just, and I'm sympathetic to this. I definitely feel this way quite a bit, but a lot of them look at the way we have society set up with the way people are socialized differently based on their sex assigned at birth, the way just that people are expected to fill different roles in society, the feelings like men and women are incapable of understanding each other, these kind of radical ways of segregating sexes and genders.
The idea that men and women, or that the idea that men will never want to speak to a woman unless it's to have sex with them.
Yeah.
That's probably the worst one in
people-
my opinion.
Some people, including me, think that that's a pretty bullshit system and don't want to participate in it. Or at least that in order for it to be positive, there needs to be radical change. But some people are just purely philosophically, I think this is bullshit. I don't want to participate in this labeling process, so I'm gonna label myself as non-binary.
So we're almost getting into gender abolition now.
Yeah,
And you are non-binary,
I am non-binary.
but you're not a gender abolitionist.
I'm not a gender abolitionist, not at all. I think everyone should do what makes them most comfortable.
God, you're so right about everything except for one topic. It makes me so happy.
And just because I'm most comfortable like this, just because I'm entirely fed up with the way that genders are segregated and kept separate, doesn't mean that other people don't still find value in aspects of it and that they aren't valid in wanting to remain within those categories and that they aren't most comfortable like that. It's not my right to dictate how other people live their lives based on what makes me most comfortable.
Right. But I think there are plenty of people who don't think that they have a right to dictate other people's lives necessarily, but that adherence to traditional gender categorization is something that continues to uphold patriarchy and the oppression of people on the basis of gender. I've heard a lot of people, and to be completely fair with you, this is mostly something I hear from cis people, but they'll say like, oh, trans women and trans men are just conforming to stereotypes set up by society. And that if you truly, if you truly followed your progressive values to their logical conclusion, you would just be yourself and wouldn't restrict it to any kind of gender.
I feel like these people haven't met trans people before. I mean, I'm sure that I know that trans people who adhere to strict gender roles, we all hear about those trans men that as soon as they pass, they become huge misogynists.
And
that kind of thing.
And the less common Catholic trad wife trans woman, whom I don't know any people like that.
We don't know anyone like that.
I've never spoken to anyone like that on my YouTube channel. In an awesome debate you should go check out. That didn't happen, but they do exist.
But those people are relatively rare.
They're extremely rare, and they want to pretend that they are like the silent majority of trans people. And that most trans people are, dominating discussion, like that everyone who dominates trans discussions are just fake trans people. I mean, that's one way to convince yourself that you're the majority, that you're the majority of a group, is to convince yourself that the actual majority is pretending and faking. But I digress.
Yeah.
Kathy, I love you. I'm sorry.
I don't think that I have ever met in real life a trans person who really adhered to very strict gender roles. I like virtually all of my friends are trans.
I've known people who adhere to strict gender roles, but not people who like tell other people they have to. It's never that they believe they have to exhibit this because of their gender. It's more so just that they choose personally to be, you see the hyper femme, hyper mask trans people who their degrees of conformity to traditional gender roles are important parts of their identity.
I do think that trans people who really strictly adhere to gender roles like that, or hyper feminine or hyper masculine, trans women and trans men, like I don't see nearly as many of them as I see trans people who are still breaking out of the box of really the like traditional gender binary.
Oh yeah, for certain. I think most trans people I think all trans people, but most trans people to a degree, have some kind of gender nonconformity.
Mm-hmm.
There's some amount of that, because I feel like as a trans person, you are inherently chewed up and spit out by this system of gender, and naturally aren't able to, whether it's even whether it's by choice or not, have a hard time participating in it identically to that of a cis person.
Yeah.
Me personally, if I could snap my fingers and just turn into a cis woman and be a cis woman, I probably would find myself not stepping too outside of the box of my gender identity, but that's not really a choice that I have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And
I wouldn't, to be clear, I wouldn't be like a trad wife. I just like,
yeah.
I think I'd just be a pretty normal Zoomer woman.
You'd be baking bread every morning for your husband who comes home from 12 hours at the factory and beats the shit out of you.
Pretty much. You're close. Except
Well,
it would all be like consensual.
Uh-huh.
No, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Guess.
It's like the last thing I'd ever want.
But yeah. I'm non-binary. I am real. I am a person.
Prove it.
Oh, you got me there, buddy.
Show us ID.
No.
Show us your green card.
I'm not even gonna show you guys my face.
Can you prove that you're from planet Earth?
Because
maybe non-binary people are just aliens.
This is an interesting bit of speculation. I think I'm gonna have to take you out back for that question.
Okay. Wait, so are you never gonna show your face on the internet? Is that a decision you've made?
I show my face on the internet, just not
as Felonious Ferris?
Not as Felonious Ferris.
Is there ever gonna be a Felonious Ferris face reveal?
I don't know. Maybe.
Because we've talked about, you seem pretty comfortable with the idea of doing webcam episodes.
Yeah.
If we could record in person, like, we could totally do like a video show.
I flip-flop on the idea of it.
Yeah, no pressure either way. I just think it would be really cool if we could do video episodes.
Yeah. Perhaps someday in the future.
Or you could wear like a COVID mask and a shower cap.
And a shower cap.
Yeah, just like put all your hair out so nobody can virtually, and then sunglasses.
Sunglasses, of course.
That's the most non-binary shit ever.
Yep.
I feel like non-binary people would wear shower caps in public. That just seems like something they would come up with.
Oh, man.
Non-binary. It seems like a stupid idea non-binary people would come up with and then like trick trans women into doing.
Oh, shit. I'm not even sure where to go with the conversation from here. We should have gotten Kathy on here.
Honestly, we probably could have booked her tonight. I could talk about my relationship with the non-binary identity. I guess I have some confessions to make to the audience. A thought that has pondered my mind a lot, like a lot, is considering my place on the gender spectrum and whatnot. I question if, given that my identity as a trans woman really sparked as a sort of rejection of not only manhood, but the obligation to participate in society separately as men and women. It was really a statement against that sort of segregation was the original source of my gender nonconformity. And I wonder if I had been assigned female at birth, if I would identify as non-binary. I think that's an interesting question to ask myself. Because I feel as identifying as a trans woman, right? Identifying as a woman but looking very obviously male, that creates a natural juxtaposition that is perceived as some kind of androgyny by the people around me. And while it gives me great dysphoria to be so obviously assigned male at birth, there's a certain comfort I've grown in the perception of androgyny that I've received. And I'm here to tell the world that I'm at a point where being genderqueer means a lot more to me than being a woman does. And I feel much more at home among trans men and non-binary people than I do cis women, which I think is a very different story from some trans women, but I think a lot of trans women actually feel the same. Uh, I don't feel at home among cis women the way I do among other trans people. Obviously, other trans women are the people I can relate to the most, particularly trans women similar to myself who've gone through male puberty and have to deal with that identity juxtaposition. Less so than like trans women who were able to transition at a very young age and, were saved basically. But I feel I identify more with my gender queerness than my womanhood. And I feel like that's kind of how I was destined to be in a certain way. And it makes me question if in a more nuanced conversation, it would be fair to refer to myself as somewhat non-binary. There's definitely an alternate reality where I turned out non-binary, and
You could be a demisexual demigirl.
there's
Named
too many.
Demi.
There's too many demis. You can. It's like, it's like overpowered. Like in a video game when you like pick when you like pick moves, like you select two and the rest of them like blur out because it's like you can only pick two. That's what it's like. So I'd have to either change my name or my sexuality, and those things are. I'm pretty attached to both of them.
But it would be so powerful.
But that's the thing is, I can say all of this about the androgyny and whatnot, but at the end of the day, I still identify as a trans woman because there is an inherent discomfort with the very prospect of not being a woman. Like, it has to be a woman for me. Like, I have to be a woman. Otherwise, it just doesn't feel right. I think it's similar to how you described identifying as a male, as it comes off as it seems like adventurous and like role playing. I feel like that's how I feel. That's how I definitely felt when I identified as non-binary, which I did, by the way. I basically faked being non-binary because I was scared to come out as an actual trans woman. That's not to say that being non-binary isn't going all the way, but it certainly is. It felt to me like a less bold, not bold stance, not bold thing, but like a less, to me, in my self-hating mindset, it felt like I was asking less of the people around me. Because when I first came out as genderqueer, I think I used the term non-binary. I was like, y'all, I'm feeling pretty non-binary, not gonna lie, but still call me he in my dead name. I think that was it. I think non-binary gave me the cushion of not having to necessarily commit to anything. Because there are people.
This is the way. This is common. Lots of binary trans people go through a phase where they identify as non-binary.
Yeah, you see the meme where it's like the pipeline goes from he him to he they to they them to she they to she her.
See, I went from she her to he him to he they to they them. You can't ever get it right on the first try. That's like the law.
Yeah. I don't know, some people will shock you.
I haven't seen it.
I think the discomfort and confusion that led me to, go all over the place was probably a product of not being supported and not being able to explore myself. Identifying as genderqueer. I'm going to say genderqueer. I called it non-binary, but I can, hindsight is 2020. I was definitely referring to genderqueerness rather than non-binariness. At the time, when I had publicly, I guess, came out regarding my struggle with my gender dysphoria, it felt like more safe to say hi. I wanted to tell the world around me. I wanted to tell my queer friends that I was one of them, that, a big part of the reason why I identified with them was because I was one of them and not that I was an outsider or a fucking chaser, which I started to look like hanging out with a bunch of trans people. But I was indeed one of them, but I wasn't ready to tell the world. And for one reason or another, my hesitance to tell the rest of the world led me to be reluctant in telling those people. I think I knew damn well deep down inside I wanted to be a woman. The way I saw it was I wanted to be a woman, but I couldn't. And the best thing I could do was give a little hint and a wink I mean, you saw my Instagram stories back then.
did.
I think you have a pretty good grasp on what the hell was going through my head. But
Yep.
gotta say, man, I relate a lot more to non-binary people than I do cis women. It's
Mm-hmm.
the gender queerness, and there's definitely a reality, an alternate reality where I found my true non-binary self and lived life proudly as a non-binary person, and really liked frogs instead of cows, and I had a frog onesie and wore it to school, and it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think about I know what you think, and you know what I think, but let's talk about the notion of non-binariness being just a lack of commitment to gender. Like the idea that an assigned female at birth non-binary person is just a trans man who hasn't gone all the way.
That's silly.
It's silly,
There's,
but it's
see,
a very real idea.
I know lots of people genuinely think this, and I think it's just because they haven't spoken to a non-binary person before. I did, I did briefly consider going on testosterone or low dose testosterone just because of the way that it would let me put on muscle.
Yeah.
Um, just strength. That is one of the biggest things that makes me feel dysphoric. Is
If
just
you were
being.
shredded, that would go so hard.
I know. See, this is the dilemma. This is the dilemma. Um, but then I think about stuff like my voice dropping,
You don't want that?
growing. See, I don't really care. Um, there's just things like see, I don't care to the degree that something like I think being able to do an anime girl voice is really funny is enough to convince me not to.
Yeah. Can you
um
do an anime girl voice?
I can, not right now. I have a cold.
Oh,
Um
lame.
I'll do an anime girl voice on the podcast one day. It's really funny. Anyway, and then I thought about like ass hair
Yeah,
and
that's not
and
fun.
facial hair
That's not fun either.
and all this stuff, and I'm
Skin.
like, I don't really want that on my body. That's kind of yucky.
It's almost
And
objectively worse to have testosterone in your
yeah.
body than estrogen. There are a few traits that estrogen gives you that are like really bad for somebody who does not want to be a woman. But I think
Mhm.
that just like if the entire world was androgynous and there was no such thing as gender dysphoria, I feel like everyone would rather be on estrogen than testosterone.
Mhm.
Just you have better skin. It's pretty much it. Skin.
Mhm.
Skin is fucking awesome.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you have thicker hair. I like my hair.
Yeah.
I like my hair being thick. Um it's just these things where obviously I've listed more cons than pros. Um, Even if my voice dropping would be kind of a neutral thing at the end of the day. Um,
Dude, have you seen like the videos of those like detransitioner trans men who like 2 months on testosterone realized that they had like shitty skin texture and they started balding and were just like, I'm done with this shit.
that's see, I have my theories about what drives these people to do what they do. All of the trans people I've ever known sat and stewed on it for years and socially transitioned for years before ever considering any kind of permanent things like hormone replacement therapy
That's trans
and
men. Trans women will get on estrogen like the split second just because of how objectively better it is.
yeah, see, I think that a lot of the time this is motivated by being in households where you aren't allowed to explore your gender identity. So then the moment people turn 18 without really having the chance to test it out, um go do hormone replacement therapy or get surgeries and then realize later like fuck, this isn't really what I wanted for myself. Um I think, I mean, if I had been in a household where I was really forced to repress myself, that I might have impulsively gone on testosterone as soon as I turned 18. I might have been one of those people. Obviously I'm still trans, but I definitely don't think that that is for me, and I don't think I would be happy like that. Yeah, it's just, I think that that's one of the biggest arguments for just letting people experiment as they're growing up.
Yeah,
So they don't
absolutely.
go and act rashly.
I would absolutely
Um,
blame. A lot of detransitioners like to blame it on woke gender ideology, like forcing them. That's. I'm sorry that you have this delusion, but it's just not true. Nobody's forcing you to transition.
I mean, every once
It's
in a while you'll see some at this point, trans medicalists are not popular. That is
yeah,
not the popular ideology to have. People, I mean, if you say, I want to do HRT, people are going to be like, good for you. They aren't going to challenge you on that. But I think that it's your job to have critical thinking skills about your own body and take some goddamn personal responsibility when you make a fuck up. Like,
yeah,
these are people that need to understand that they have personal accountability here too, and just because they made a stupid decision about their bodies doesn't mean all other trans people who really do need to transition, otherwise they will die, doesn't mean that they don't get to do it now.
yeah, absolutely. And I guess I was gonna say about like trans guys who like get experience some downsides from their hormone replacement therapy and immediately like start blaming the woke big pharma. I hate I hate to blame these people and be like a jerk, but informed consent is like a real thing that is respected and practiced in all of these fields, especially with gender affirming care, especially with all the conservative outrage. You
Mm-hmm.
knew. They told you that this was going to happen to you. They told you that this was a risk and you accepted that risk.
Yeah.
If
I do
if
think
I
that there are just,
experienced if I like die of a heart attack or something and somehow being on estrogen increased the likelihood of that happening, I'm not going to blame big pharma.
mhm.
I consented to a lot of risks getting on hormone replacement therapy. You have to. This idea that you're just like hormones please and they're like lol okay. Like that's not
Mhm.
it's not true. I'm not saying that it's an extremely difficult process, but you have a job to pay attention to what they're telling you about potential side effects, and this doesn't just apply to trans stuff. This applies to virtually all modern medicine.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
the very concept of informed consent just baffles people, and it's stupid.
we're getting into a different conversation now, but yes.
The original conversation wasn't going to last long enough.
Yeah. We're 36 minutes into the recording.
It's true.
Yeah. Some non-binary people do hormone replacement therapy. Whoa. It's true.
And
Some of us choose not to.
another hypothetical Catholic trans trad wife says that if you're non-binary and you seek any medical transition or you seek any kind of medical care that will make you more masculine or feminine, the opposite of what you're born with, that immediately makes you a binary trans person.
Mhm.
I think that's ridiculous. I think
I think that's goofy.
personally, I think that if you're a trans woman and you literally have like facial hair and are completely comfortable with that and you just want to be a bearded woman, good for you. I do not care. Does not challenge that does not conflict with any kind of understanding of gender that I have.
Mhm.
There's no clash with empirical reality of that. And the same thing goes for, hey, if you're a non-binary person and you're assigned male at birth and you want huge titties, that doesn't immediately make you a trans woman.
Mhm.
You can desire an amalgamation of characteristics from multiple genders or androgynous characteristics. You could let people mix and match, man. Let people just like let let it be like a video game like character creator. Life is too
Mhm.
short to stop people from doing that.
Mhm. I think that people who are really firmly on the binary just have difficulty understanding this. They have difficulty imagining people who genuinely do not feel that they fit in the boxes of male or female.
Yeah, this is true. A lot of the people that I'm talking about are, like, extremely traditional with their gender identity.
Yeah. And, you know, I personally truly believe that traditional gender roles, like the kind of stuff that was totally normal to see 50 years ago, I believe that that is an objectively negative, harmful thing for most people. Not even most people. I have a difficult time believing that it's not harmful for all people.
Are you saying that, like, being a trad wife will, like, ruin your life no matter what, or?
I have just knowing what kind of standards they're held to, and the way that genders are kept so segregated and are socialized as being so different that they genuinely have a difficult time, like, understanding the other's perspective. I believe that that is an objectively negative thing. But, however, just because I have no understanding of why anyone would want to subject themselves to that, I still shrug my shoulders because it's not my fucking life, you know? Like, if people want to go be trad wives and trad husbands, you know, as long as everyone is consenting, I don't care. And I'd just like to be extended that same courtesy from them.
I just don't think that there's a single relationship, personality, or career choice that you can make that is, like, inherently bad or destructive. I think it's just the means of which you pursue it. Like, obviously somebody who's like, I want to be a trad wife and be completely submissive to my husband and XXXXX, like, they're probably going to list some very toxic things. But...
And, you know, whenever I start thinking about people like that, I start thinking like one of those totally ignorant transphobes where I'm like, I think this has to be a fetish.
I don't think it's a fetish.
See,
a relationship choice isn't a fetish.
Okay, we can go into this.
No, we can go into this right now.
Right now?
Do you think that, like, say, as a trans woman, you're like, okay, I want to stay at home, take care of the kids, cook and clean, and I guess do those things? Like, is that
that would still have to integrate, like, that is pieces of what traditional gender segregation
okay
like. But that is not all of it.
I'm not talking about segregation.
The people who are like, I want to be totally submissive to my husband, and I don't ever want to have to think or make decisions, and I just want to be his object that he owns. I feel like that just sounds way too close to other things that I have heard about, where I think, this has some similarities.
Okay, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think that a lot of people, though, when they use the word, like, trad wife, they're just referring to, like, a stay-at-home wife who takes care of children and cooks and cleans. And in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with doing that.
I feel like the people who unironically use the term trad wife also want a woman who is submissive and asserts none of her own wishes and just blindly does whatever.
People who hyperfixate on that, yeah. But I think there are plenty of people who, in their head, have this idea that they want to...
trad wife, though, was created by people who wanted that out of a relationship.
Yeah, no, you're probably right.
Yeah.
I'm probably digging a grave right now. I think you're right about this. Let me look up trad wife definition. Oh my god, it has a Wikipedia page. I thought this was 4chan shit. No, a trad wife in recent Western culture typically denotes a woman who believes... Excuse me, I have the hiccups. Fuck watermelon. Traditional sex roles in a traditional marriage. Many trad wives believe a woman does not lose rights by choosing to take a traditional role in marriage, Some may choose to leave careers to focus instead on family in meeting their family's needs. A high-profile example of this is Canadian Cynthia Lowen, a former Miss Canada who abandoned plans to pursue a medical degree in order to be a full-time housewife. I should have just been saying housewife this entire time. I don't even know why that didn't even pop into my head. But isn't housewife kind of derogatory?
No, I don't think it is. But my point is
that I feel like taking someone's entire reducing someone's entire identity to the fact that they stay at home sounds degrading, but it's also like an accurate description of when we're simply describing their like day-to-day lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, someone is a construction worker, someone is a doctor, someone is a stay-at-home mother or a housewife. That's fine. But tradwife, I first started hearing that term from people who believed wholeheartedly that feminism is the cause of the downfall of the West. Like, incels, misogynists, that crowd.
Yeah, you're probably right. Well, you're saying what you heard. Yeah, you're right. And you're probably right that that's where it's typically used most often. So the problem is tradwives and not housewives, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with being a housewife.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Even tradwives, though. Like, if someone genuinely decides on their own that they want that for themselves, that's none of my fucking business. I don't care.
This is middle school GSA. The entire premise of this show is judging people, I feel like. I feel like the whole premise of the show is that everything is our business.
Everything is our business.
We sit here on our high horse and just, cross our arms and shake our heads at everything that walks by. I feel like that's the entire point of this show.
Well, I'm here to say, if you're a trad husband, if you're a trad wife, and neither of you were coerced into this situation, and it just does it for you, cool.
If you're signing yourself up for a situation, though, that makes if your consent is not reversible, that becomes a problem. If you put yourself in a relationship where you cannot, you can't go back on any of this submission, that's bad.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So just, I'm not even seeking for cis people and really firmly binary trans people to understand being non-binary, because I feel like that is not something that is entirely possible. I'm just asking people to accept and go, okay, whatever, doesn't make sense to me, but it's how you're most happy and comfortable. You're living your best life. Cool.
I think people should be forced to understand, and we should put them into death camps of tolerance. That was a joke. I think we should put in an effort to actively educate our population. I think those who are willing to listen deserve the conversation.
Yes, of course.
You guys all know that I'm not a big fan of the "it's not my job to educate you" sentiment. I think it is a movement's job to justify itself to the population. Not to say it's an individual's job to justify themselves, but it is a movement's job. And as a movement, we do need people. We do need people at the forefront of this revolution, like us, who do a podcast for other trans people, where we talk to our audience like they're a bunch of cis people. I used to think that I was going to show this before this podcast ever came out, like back when it was in its concept phase. I used to think I was going to show this to like my family and such, and this is going to be like not a terminally online podcast, but it's a point where it's like, yeah, I can't look people, I can't make eye contact with somebody who's listened to this at this point.
I see. Pretty early on, I told my dad, the one with the political science master's degree, that I was gonna be doing a podcast where I talk about social and political issues. And since then, he has not stopped asking for me to let him listen to it, and every time I say no.
You should let him listen to it.
No.
That would be so funny. Not. We could get him on the show.
Oh man,
What
that
if
would be really
what if we
funny.
got your dad and my mom on this show?
That would be really funny. That would be really funny.
Or my dad.
Your dad and my dad on the show
Yeah.
would be extra uber funny.
It would be like a Pokemon battle where like
Yes,
me
it
and you
would.
each
It
send out
would.
our dads.
Uh-huh.
That'd be great.
It would be great. Uh, guys, leave a comment below if you'd want to see the dads episode.
Dad versus dad.
Mhm. My dad would win.
No, my dad is more racist than your dad, okay?
This is
I mean,
this is true.
my dad could beat your dad up, okay? He has a power up.
Probably.
My dad has a power up where he listens to Pantera and gets inspired to commit violence.
See, my dad just got both of his hips replaced, so I definitely think that your dad would beat my dad in a physical fight. I don't think that there would be much competition.
Okay, you don't have to answer this question, and I can cut it out if this is uncomfortable. But is your mom or your dad Jewish, or are both of them?
My on my mom's side, ethnically, neither my dad is an atheist and both of his parents were atheists. Uh my mom's side is Lutheran. I don't know why I was well, I do know why. I do know why I was baptized Catholic. Because my stepdad was Catholic.
Wait, so which one is ethnically Jewish? Are both of them?
Mom.
Mom? Okay. Okay, so my dad wouldn't have the anti-Semitism power up
Nope, he
to
would not.
inspire him. I don't even know why I said that. My dad isn't even anti-Semitic. Not really.
He could have well, in if your dad was anti-Semitic, he could have the race traitor power up where you call my dad a race
True,
traitor.
true. No, I don't think my dad is anti-Semitic. Like, I think my dad legitimately believes that I think my dad legitimately has concerns about like Jewish power, but I genuinely believe that he does not. That does not extend to like any Jewish person,
Mm-hmm.
like that he'd see on the street. But it does extend to every black person that he'd see on the street. He hates all black people, so don't don't feel bad for me making fun of him.
He hates all black people but loves Tupac, right?
Yeah, okay, maybe he doesn't hate all black people because he's like he believes there are good ones. You know what I mean? He's that kind of
Mhm.
racist. No, Tupac is like his hero. It's funny because like I'd say a good like 30% of Tupac's fan base is white supremacists. It's probably because there's like lyrics taken out of context. Because he has like a lyric that's like, they say it's the white man I should fear, but it's my own kind doing all the killing here, which
Ah,
was stated in the context of a pretty in-depth social analysis of race relations. But like all nuance is lost when you're talking to a racist person. He's like, yeah, see, Tupac gets it. All black people are bad. Like I don't understand. I don't understand the racist appeal of Tupac's music. I really don't. A non-binary analysis of Tupac is in need. What more is there to say about non-binary people? I feel like we barely scratched the surface.
there are lots of non-binary people. There are lots of non-binary people, and it's a very diverse community. Lots of people are non-binary but have radically different identities from one another.
It's really a
I
broad
am.
identity if you think about it. Just non-binary.
It is.
It's a statement of
It's
what
an
you're
umbrella
not.
term, and then there's lots of micro labels that fall under it.
You as
I
a
am a.
non-binary person, or sorry, go on.
I'm a classical non-binary.
Classical non-binary.
Yikes!
You're a trad non-binary.
This is so true.
Our great grandchildren are going to do a podcast about how the trad non-binaries are problematic because they're adhering
Uh-huh.
to 2023 gender roles that are
Uh-huh.
suppressive, and it'll come full
This is
circle.
so true. It's so true. I look forward to the day.
What do you think separates you, a non-binary person, from people who are like agender or people with complex neogenders? What makes
I
you
mean,
say, fuck all that, I'm non-binary is the way to describe me?
agender is non-binary. It's
They're
just a
different.
micro label that falls under non-binary.
Right, but like, what
I
makes you
just
just identify as non-binary and not these other
yeah,
categories?
I just none of them seem to fit perfectly, and honestly, I don't really care to put myself in a micro label. Um, there are plenty of people I have to relate to, and don't need to find an extremely ultra niche community of people who are actual clones of me.
Yeah, you don't have to do math to figure out where you are on this spectrum. You're pretty
Yeah.
just comfortable, saying what galaxy you're from.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, agender would be like I really do not identify at all with um either male nor female. Honestly,
Or
like
anything in
agender
between.
people, yeah, agender people just don't perceive gender in themselves. Um, they just see the entire thing as completely bizarre and a foreign concept that they've never really identified with at all.
Because they've
Um,
been because they were on an iPad in their stroller watching Skibbity Toilet when they were supposed to be learning
exactly.
when they were supposed to be learning about gender. No, I'm kidding.
Skibbity
I love
toilet,
agender
skibbity
people.
toilet. Is yep, it's creating a new exciting genre of non-binary people. I can't wait for them to
I
grow up and
guarantee you
see
it
how.
is too. It's funny that you say that, but like I guarantee you that Skippity Toilet is probably inadvertently influencing people's relationship with the gender spectrum somehow.
Oh,
Have I played the 2-second audio clip of Matt Pat saying Skibbity Toilet?
I know you haven't.
Oh, it's so funny. He goes like Skibbity Toilet. Let me add that to the soundboard. It doesn't get recorded anyways. Fuck it. I'll play that later. But yeah, he did a video about Skibbity Toilet, and it's just. Did you ever watch Matt Pat back in the day?
No, I did not.
No. Do you even
No,
know who he is?
I know the name.
Oh my
If you show
god.
me a picture of him, I'd know.
Game Theory?
Okay, I know game theory.
Did you watch Game Theory or Film Theory back in the
Not,
day?
not really. I don't. I don't play video games very much.
Yes, you do. Shut up.
And I certainly didn't
Did you ever
years
care
ago.
about FNAF lore ever?
Okay, I think I have watched a FNAF video
Yeah,
from
that's what
Game
I thought.
Theory.
That's what I thought. I was like, dude, you're an autistic trans mask. How have you not watched Game Theory?
I think I played like one round of mobile game Five Nights at Freddy's and have not picked it up since. But it's just part of the modern non-binary identity to love Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, I think it's as crucial as, learning about the history of your people, learning about the modern implications of your identity, such as loving Five Nights at Freddy's.
Honestly, animatronic animals, that's pretty non-binary.
It really is.
Animatronic animals possessed by the souls of murdered children is extra non-binary.
I always found it I always took moral issue with the fact that franchise was promoted to children, given its themes of children being murdered, and
Yeah.
by a guy who's probably a child molester too. Let's be honest. I think it's a great story. I think it's great horror, at least leading up to some of the stranger shenanigans of the series. Things involving souls being uploaded to flash drives kind of lost me, but the first couple games, I followed them as they came out. I watched all the videos. I watched all the SFM animations about FNAF back in the day. I could tell you my favorite YouTubers: Rai99, Typhoon Cinema, and 0202. They had the Dare/Ask series. I was very concerned about Bonnie and Chica's egg and how it was going to hatch when it was cursed. When it was cursed by Springtrap. I really, the series ended abruptly. We'll guess we'll never know.
There was some 2D animated Five Nights at Freddy's YouTube thing that I was really into.
Was it 5 a.m. at Freddy's?
No.
Not that? Damn.
There were more ooh-woo anime than that.
Ooh. Now I'm interested.
See, every every 5 years or every decade, there comes a video game franchise with really, really non-binary creatures that just hypnotizes children. Most recently, it's been Among Us.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was Five Nights at Freddy's.
Among Us, Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, there's all the other little ones like Poppy's Playtime and other Zoomer stuff that we don't know about. I don't even know what kids are into.
You know, I have not played that game, but I watched a playthrough of it. And it actually looked fucking fantastic.
What about Baldi's Basics?
I don't understand the fixation on that. I think it's insane that gained the popularity it did, especially among kids.
All you need to do is have Markiplier play your game, and it's just extremely popular.
It's true. But why that one in particular?
I don't know. For a while now, like extremely inappropriate, like indie horror games have been marketed to like 5-year-olds, and I actually think it's kind of gross.
Is it marketed to 5-year-olds?
Five Nights at Freddy's certainly is.
Really?
Absolutely, dude. I work at Walmart. I know who's buying those action figures and plushies, dude. They're like 7-year-olds.
You're right.
It's in the toy aisle at Walmart, right next to like the Beyblades and Bakugans. Is like Five Nights at Freddy's, this like R-rated horror franchise. There's M-rated horror franchise.
I was really into Bakugans as a
That
kid.
is so non-binary.
I liked the show. And then
I had a couple of the toys. I thought they were cool. I thought it was cool how they transformed, but I never got into the lore or knew anything about it.
I don't even remember anything about the lore at this point.
I was into a more trans femme series, Ninjago.
Oh, Ninjago.
No, that's a Transmask series. That is 100% a Transmask series.
It is.
Ninjago was the moment girls became men.
It's so true. I've been thinking about... Because Ninjago has this persistent fan base, where it has a really loyal fan base to this day. And I consider rewatching it every day.
Oh, it's worth it. The first like couple seasons are really good. I kind of got lost when they got into like weird like interdimensional like fate, like when they met like the people who like write the fate of the universe in the skies above. It got a little complicated. They had like a horrible time travel episode with like very inconsistent time. That was season 1 or 2. They had like a time travel episode where they traveled to like the pilot episode, but like their time traveling rules are so bad that it made me angry. I'm sure you've seen time travel in fiction that just was infuriating, like how unrealistic it was.
Yeah. I think Lego characters are non-binary.
Honestly, yeah. I think I found out what the Trans Femme franchise is. It's fucking Bionicle.
It is Bionicle.
Bionicle, that is for trans women.
And My Little Pony.
Let's not get carried away.
You disagree that
Bionicle is an obsession that like lives. Like the moment that a brony becomes a woman, like she waves My Little Pony goodbye.
He gets into Bionicle?
No. She was always into Bionicle as a kid, and it never left. Mm-hmm. But My Little Pony is one of those things that, for some reason or another, like when she comes out as a trans woman, she stops liking My Little Pony. Happened to me. Mm-hmm. Dude, I was obsessed with that show, like ridiculously. I don't know if you remember how obsessed I was with that show. I don't know if you were around during that arc.
I remember a bit.
Like my profile picture was like a pony OC or just a pony that I liked. I was just constantly...
You made me as a pony.
That was recently. That wasn't even long ago.
Yeah.
And it was horrible.
It was great.
I
loved it.
It was a tradition back in the day. Anytime I met a new person, I would make them a pony.
Uh-huh.
I've talked about how I had like a role play with my friends, and or with my other friend, and we would each have like 50 different characters, and all of mine were based off of people I knew in real life.
Mm-hmm.
It.
I've been thinking about rewatching My Little Pony.
I'm forcing Squeebo to watch My Little Pony.
Squeebo
You
hasn't
could join
watched
us.
My Little Pony?
No, they hate it. They hated it for a while.
That's insane.
I committed to watching JoJo if they watched My Little Pony, so...
Oh, you're gonna hate it.
Yeah, I know, I'm gonna hate it. I loved the first 2 episodes, though.
You did?
Yeah, I thought they were amazing.
See...
They're very cringe, don't get me wrong, but it's like a lovable kind of cringe, just like My Little Pony.
It is the lovable kind of cringe. It's very, like, campy and hyperbolic, and I love that so much. There are a lot of non-binary people in trans masks into not JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah. Trans women, too. I feel like JoJo is one of the unifying trans franchises.
Mm-hmm.
I've known plenty of trans women into JoJo, actually. IRL.
And the new and to pay homage to them. Homage, whatever people say.
It's homage.
The new Joe Bro is an HRT femboy.
Boo, they didn't commit.
See, we don't know if it's an HRT femboy because we don't have an official translation of the manga yet, so the translator might just be transphobic. There are a lot of transphobic JoJo fans.
Yeah.
See, JoJo unifies all autistic people.
The transphobic ones and the trans ones.
Yep. It's just that kind of show.
Yeah, I guess an announcement is that I will be watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I finally succumbed. I succumbed.
See,
that sounded horrible.
The first season is slower, but
I like slow stuff.
The aesthetics, the characters. Part one Dio is best Dio. Part 2 is fucking excellent. Also very slow. But really just great. Part 3 is complete fucking garbage. Don't listen to anyone who says that they love Part 3.
I'm gonna love Part 3.
Transphobic JoJo fans love Part 3. I hate Part 3.
We're just shamelessly categorizing things we don't like as transphobic, and I love it.
See, but it's in Part 3...
Is that the Nazi part?
No, the Nazi part is Part 2.
Oh. The good Nazi.
Part 3, the main character, Jotaro, his like defining personality trait is that he hates women.
Oh, cool.
And then none of the other characters really have personality traits except for Joseph and Polnareff. Love Polnareff. Polnareff is the only thing that made that part watchable. Some people who aren't transphobic like Part 3, but that's because hold on. People who aren't transphobic, who are typically women, will project...
Cis women?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, trans people too. Also guilty of this. Will project this persona onto Kakyoin, who is the most bland personality-less character. They'll project this personality of him being an uwu femboy onto him. So they love Kakyoin. He's a blank slate. But then Part 4 rolls around, and Part 4 is my favorite part. Where we have two himbos fighting crime. And Jotaro is there too, but now he's old and depressed. And not as aggressive about his hatred for women.
Oh, okay.
He redeems himself. He has a daughter who comes back in Part 6. Jolene. Part 5 is also great. That's a close second to Part 4 for me. Has number 1 husbando Obakio in it, which sums up my awful, horrible taste in fictional people. I pick an alcoholic ex-cop.
Wow. Felonious Ferris.
I know. It's terrible.
you're never good at upholding your ACAB positions. You're always fumbling the bag.
Yeah, and he was a corrupt cop too. He accepted bribes.
Was he a
But
good corrupt
he's
cop or a bad corrupt cop?
I don't think he like beat the shit out of minorities. At least that wasn't in the show if he
Well, this
did.
is a problem with cops in fiction is that they'll make cops that are like objectively good people, like the way they're presented in fiction, but they're like unrealistic.
Hmm.
So it like gives this idea of a good cop that doesn't exist. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah.
Abagio is not a good person though.
Okay.
But he's likable in this weird kind of roundabout way.
We
He
should do an
has a
ACAB episode.
very Yeah, we should. He has this very suspicious fixation on the Joe Bro of the series Bucciarati.
Yeah.
At some point there's a scene where he's like, the only time I feel at ease is when I'm with you, Bucciarati, and it's like, ah, what's going on? It is JoJo's definitely really exemplifies how being hypermasculine and just hypermasculine philosophies are inherently homoerotic.
Does that mean hyper androgyny is inherently pan erotic?
Maybe.
That was the weirdest parallel I've ever drawn.
But yeah. But yeah. It's great. It's great. And then, see, don't tell anyone. Don't tell Squeebo. I actually haven't
They'd listen to
read.
this show.
Well, Squeebo, you're hearing it. You're hearing it. I have not read part 7 or part 8. I just know what happens because JoJo's fans are terrible at not spoiling things. I tried reading part 7. I could not. It's long as hell. And I got up to the point where there was like a fight by a waterfall or a river or something.
You just talked about how JoJo's fans are terrible at not spoiling, and you're kind of spoiling, not gonna lie.
There's a fight by a river is not a spoiler.
I'm gonna see a river, and JoJo will be like, damn it, I know there's a fight that happens there. I honestly, knowing that there's a fight in a river, I don't even know if I want to watch it. It's
But
ruined.
part 7 is the gay cowboys. The gay cowboys part. And if cowboys are frequently secretly fond of each other, the cover of it by Willie Nelson isn't the outro. I'm boycotting.
All right.
And then part 8. Part 8 gets really funky. Part 8 is the parallel universe version of part 4, where Josuke is no longer gay and he is a sailor, but he's gay in kind of a roundabout way because his Jobro,
Wait, is Josuke actually gay?
he's
Like, actually,
not
though?
like
Like,
he's not canonically homosexual.
that's what I wanted to know.
But he's really gay. He's really gay. But it's an alternate universe where his Jobro is one of the Jobros from part 4, except he's a woman. And he's also the love interest. So, in an alternate universe, one of his best friends is now a woman and they fall in love.
Wow.
Which is a little suspicious. A little suspicious. Just a little. I could go on and on about how fucking gay Josuke is. Some people say Giorno is the gayest Joestar. I say that's bullshit. It is absolutely Josuke. Look at his pose. Look at his uniform. There's more to it than that, but
Cool. We just talked about a show that probably nobody listening gives a shit about.
uh-huh.
I think we spent a total of like 25 minutes talking about non-binary people.
Uh-huh. There isn't a lot to say. I mean, we simply are. We simply are, dear listeners. And we are not sexless aliens. We are human beings.
This is news to me.
oftentimes with genitals.
Whoa, no, well, what? I thought non-binary
I
just meant
know,
you were
I
like a Barbie
know,
doll with just like
I know.
just blank skin.
There was a headline. There was a headline a while ago that transphobes pointed to, um, where someone had all of their genitals removed. So it was
I think I
just
saw that.
skin like that.
Yeah, dude, that's
And
awesome.
people were like, "Oh, this is so disgusting and look at the mentally ill, look at what they're doing, but look what they're trying to normalize." But again, I don't care.
That's extremely hot. I'm gonna just say it.
To just have zero nothing
Yes,
down there.
absolutely.
Uh-huh. I did once see a tutorial on how to castrate yourself at home. Um
Where did you
with
run into this? Because it was not YouTube.
I think it was on Facebook or something
Oh
like
yeah.
that, and there were pictures.
People underestimate how unhinged Facebook can get. There's like
They really do.
Facebook mods will like take you down for like saying the F word, like being mean to somebody. Like if you say F you to someone in their comments, they're like, this is really mean. And then if you give like a tutorial on how to like behead like a kitten with a chainsaw, like it's just like Or if you have like your like human trafficking page, like human
Uh-huh.
trafficking Houston, free
And
underage girls, like Facebook does
and
nothing about it.
see, a lot of the Facebook groups are moderated by individuals, which means each group varies extremely widely based on what is and is not acceptable. But actual Facebook moderators do not give a fuck. I actually think I have a theory that Facebook moderators are after me specifically.
Yeah.
Um, because one time I told a woman that she was acting like a chihuahua and I got a 30-day ban.
30-day ban.
But just recently
Wait,
someone called me a faggot.
was she
Someone called me a faggot on Facebook. And I
I'm
reported their comment and they were like, "Sorry, this does not go against our community standards." And it's like literally I reported it for slurs,
was the
which is
woman
what
like
it was.
Hispanic or something?
No.
No?
She was a white woman.
I feel like Chihuahua could be a racial slur. I feel like I
She was a
shouldn't be
white
saying the
woman.
C slur. The CH slur. Yeah, no, acting like a Chihuahua is something worthy of being criticized.
Yep. But apparently calling me a faggot is not. Facebook mods saw that and were like, "No, he's right though."
Did you notice like the F slur is like coming back?
Yeah, it is.
Like it's like just kind of chill now to just call people or use gay as an insult or use the R slur. I feel like we're entering an era where we're like going back not to like being openly homophobic or ableist or whatever, but like just using language that actively reinforces like really bad bigotry.
We saw that Twitter conversation, the one that I replied to and you replied to.
What are you
Where
talking about?
no, there was a different I guess this one you didn't reply to. But no, I saw the post through you and it was someone using the R slur in like a casual manner. And I was like, that's not good. And then someone was like, here's someone who has more skin in it than you do, who says that it's okay. And I was like,
Uh,
I'm autistic.
do you have anything else you want to
Actually,
say about non-binary people, or should we scooch along?
nope.
All right. Well, Felonious Ferris, where can our listeners find you?
On the internet. I'm in places. Look me up.
Felonious Ferris.
I don't
on
really
Twitter
post anywhere.
and Tumblr and Instagram
Uh-huh. And YouTube.
and YouTube.
Every once in a while you'll get to see me argue with someone on Twitter like once in a blue moon. And it'll be such a
Join the
treat
middle
every
school
time.
GSA Discord server, and sometimes Felonious Ferris sends 1 or 2 messages
Every
and then
once in a while,
ignores everyone who replies to them.
when you guys are spamming my notifications so much that I can't ignore it, I'll drop in or when someone says something especially interesting that I happen to see in my notifications, then I'll swoop in and I'll say something, and then I'll forget about it, and leave, and then people will apparently reply to me, and I just am not there.
For Middle School GSA, if you were unaware, we are available on both YouTube and all podcast platforms. So wherever you are, if you're listening and you'd like to listen somewhere else, go to your favorite podcast platform of choice, or come to YouTube, because let's be honest, YouTube is where we want you guys to be. That's where we account for all of our views. That's where we read comments. That's where we, it's where y'all should be. And also
leave comments. I love comments.
They're
my favorite.
We have an official website now, which is linked in the description of this episode and all future episodes. And if you want to find, little tidbits of information about Middle School GSA and see what is essentially a portal of information and links to our stuff, go check it out. It's pretty good. It was designed by the one and only Squeebo the Last, with a little bit of Demigloom assistance. And I think they did a really good job. I think it's a pretty cool website, and you guys should, go check it out, even if it's just for fun. It's cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Also, I'm Demigloom. Go look up Demigloom on your favorite apps, Twitter, Instagram, and join the Middle School GSA Discord server. Oh, and I have a YouTube channel. I did a debate with a trans medicalist about non-binary people, and coming soon is an interview with the one and only Penis Delusion Hikakamori on Twitter.
Oh my goodness.
You don't even know who that is. Shut up. And essentially a story time video that I recorded the day of this event. Taco Bell literally saved my life. That's the only context you get. Taco Bell literally saved my life. So yeah, take back everything bad I ever said about Taco Bell.
My brain is filling in so much information that I do not have about Taco Bell saving your life.
What do you want to take a wild guess what happened? Because I guarantee you I just want to know what's running through your head.
See, I don't know if I should say it.
Just say it. I don't care.
Did you go into Taco Bell distraught and say, Taco Bell employee, I'm gonna kill myself, and the Taco Bell employee sat you down and had a beautiful conversation with you where they convinced you to not kill yourself?
You know what? I didn't think you would be able to guess it, but that's exactly what happened. No, that didn't happen. Nothing remotely close to that happened. I'll tell you after this recording. But yeah, I've been Demigloom.
And I've been Felonious Ferris.
Why do you always do a funny southern accent at the end?
I don't know.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's funny. I like it, but I'm just wondering why. Do you do this consciously?
I don't.
Do you tell yourself all right, I'm gonna say I'm Felonious Ferris at the end of every episode?
No, I do not.
Okay, well.
This happens.
Bye-bye, everybody.